The best of money matters. Wealth Tracker.
Welcome to the Wealth Tracker, where we dive into the uncharted territories of niche investment strategies that promise to redefine wealth. Hello, I'm Hongbin Jeong. Once regarded mainly as adornment, fine jewelry is increasingly being recognized as a serious investment class. Beyond its beauty, a jewel's long-term value can hinge on craftsmanship, rarity, provenance, and the prestige of its maker. As wealth preservation and diversification become top of mind for investors, jewelry stands out for its unique blend of financial, cultural, and emotional worth. It's not just an asset, but one you can wear and carry anywhere. So how do you identify pieces with lasting investment potential? To find out more, I'm joined by Angela Loh, CEO of the Advocators and Co. Hi, Angela. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for joining us. Well, Angela, jewelry is often seen as adornment first. What's driving its growing reputation as an investment asset?
I think predominantly the value of gold is climbing, and a lot of times, like precious gemstones have seen an incremental in value and price. And also these more active auction activities, like people are beginning to be aware of Sotheby's species and what are being auctioned, and jewelry is one of the most active categories besides art.
So how do you explain to first-time investors the difference between jewelry bought for beauty versus jewelry bought for, value retention or appreciation?
So we're talking about first-time shopper, right? So if you're a first-time shopper, you always remember this. If you buy something that is of gold, it would always retain its value. Like versus in the past, I bought a piece of gold jewelry that's only $800. And this, like 20 years ago today, that piece of gold jewelry would probably be $1,000 or more. So I think gold as a precious metal that's predominant in a lot of our fine jewelry is one of the factors that contribute to that. And also inflation and the fact that natural resources for these gemstones, like for example, rubies, sapphires, and emeralds, as we discover more from the earth, it's supply like jade. It's also getting less and less. And we see the kind of like demand is growing, but the less supply, and therefore the value has actually appreciated since like 20 to 30 years ago.
Well, what are the key factors that determine the resale value then of a piece of jewelry?
Okay, one is the quality of the gemstone. If you're buying a piece of jewelry that has a lot of gemstone, the quality, whether it's unheated, the carat size, the color, the clarity, all these play a part in terms of contributing to its value. The other part of it is the design. If you buy a name piece, whether it's a Cartier Forte or Marina B or Bulgari, these are fine pieces that has a certain traction among collectors, and they're willing to buy from you in a resale market, which makes that jewelry you purchase able to retain its value and able to be sold in a selector or potential buyer in the future.
Well, among diamonds, colored gemstones, gold, and designer signatures, which categories have shown the strongest long-term value then?
Colored gemstones, I would say, also designer jewelry. I mean, personally, I think it all depends on personal preference. For me, for example, I've been in the jewelry curating for the festival for the last 20 years, and somehow my attraction is always to jewelry. So I always collect designer pieces, and then the gemstone is more or less a secondary part. And then my other girlfriends, who are more traditional, they prefer to collect gemstones. And design is a secondary consideration. So I think when it comes to which one gives the better appreciation value, it's about what you like to wear. Because at the end of the day, when you buy a piece of jewelry, the real value comes from actually wearing it as well. And the longer wear that you don't get tired of, you always want to wear it again and again, and you're proud to show your friends. And I think that is also part of a consideration when you invest in jewelry.
Definitely. Well, I mean, colored gemstones in particular, they have been gaining attention in recent years. Do you see them as outperforming diamonds in the future?
Currently, it is performing pretty well relative to diamonds. I would say there's a potential that colored gemstones would be performing good.
Okay. Well, then how important is intrinsic value, such as, gold weight, stone quality versus intangible value, like, the designer or the story or the provenance?
I always feel like the designer has always helped with attraction for me. It's hard to say, like a piece of jar, for example, like you've heard of Jar, the designer. His pieces are whimsical. Wallace Chan, his pieces are whimsical. The gemstone itself may not, if you compare apple to apple, the gemstone may not have that kind of like comparable value, but the design is so amazing and out of this world that the design together with the gemstone can achieve that amount of price. So it's really hard to say, honestly. You have the type of you feel secure with the gemstone and design to is not important, or someone who really loves to wear something that is dramatic design or design that is art visible and design that you really connect with, then you will choose the other alternative. Hard to say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then how does jewelry compare to other investments like art, wine, or watches?
Watches and jewelry somehow has the same stature, but it's just like men tend to collect more watches and women seem to have the affinity for the natural allure of gemstones and design. Whereas watches is more mechanical and there's a certain structure of collecting, a certain of what is the effort or the value. So it's just about different profile of customers, what they prefer. But both has equal weighting. Now, when it comes to art, it's also another category of shoppers who like to collect art because they like to see that exhibit. They have more home proud. They want to have it on the home in their houses. And that is, I think, in general, I think art has a lot of attraction between men and female.
Well, beyond financial returns then, Angela, jewelry also carries, cultural and emotional value. How much should that weigh into an investment decision then?
The cultural value and heritage, a lot of times, is something that is very personal. And in different countries, we have different collector pieces that have that kind of attraction and value, like, for example, Peranakan designs, the glyptics, the cameos. These are traditional craft, but if you really buy from the original craftsman, that has really good recognition value and people want to collect them. Celebrities wear them as well.
Okay.
But in terms of investment, I think that one is personal. There's no price point like the market value.
Right. Well, then what advice would you give investors looking at contemporary designers who may become, tomorrow's blue chip names?
I have one story that might be interesting, and I was about to share that. I remember this designer that we have a few years ago, like 5-6 years ago. Her name is Nadun Aisoy. And at that time, it was just a new designer. And the amazing part is this year, they're going to come back to Ultralux and Jewellery. The pieces and jewelry are the ones that actually featured in Emily in Paris. Everybody's like buying that Cazorla, the Zarina collection. My girlfriends or my customers who bought them in those times, they actually got it at a steal. So if you are lucky, you could find the beginner picks here that actually would be of higher value in the next 3 to 5 years when they really gain the ground as a famous designer. We never can tell. But we have the curating designers that have the potential, like House of Umbral, Simone Duos, Kelly C.A., Kimberly McDonald's. All these are brands that have gained huge traction in the American market as well as in China. And the value of the jewelry has grown dramatically in the last 3 to 5 years.
Okay. Well, speaking of which, Ultralux has been a launchpad for emerging jewelry brands. What qualities make a young brand collectible then?
I think it's iconic design. When you see a brand that has a design that it stands out from the rest, it captures the imagination, it tells a story for the gemstone that you have never seen done before, and has that latent attraction. Such designers that has a kind of what we call techniques or visual sensories tend to have a higher propensity to make it big in the international marketplace.
Okay. Well, some names like Nadine Aisoy or Simone Jules began at Ultralux and now, globally sought after. What did they get right?
Simone has always had a very clear direction about their collection, about telling a story, a piece of history. I think it's basically the consistency in crafting your brand story and letting your followers, your fans, be able to join in that journey with you time and time again. And it's the reliability, the consistency, and they're able to express the storyline again and again in different refreshing ways that is actually the basis of a brand success.
Well, this year, Ultralux 2025 is happening from the 2nd to the 12th October at Neon City Civic Plaza. Now, collectors will discover not only striking designs, but also brands whose pieces carry strong long-term value. Angela, what should savvy collectors and investors be looking out for at this year's event?
I'll be looking out for these brands, like our local brands, Caratel, Infinity Jewels. They have really created beautiful, iconic pieces, and Auto Blink, Harry Kane. They come up with a fine jewelry range that you can look out for, which is spectacularly iconic. All of them have something special to offer. Mostly these FG60 collections is to look out for, and also Pohing's most amazing piece, you can look out for it. I've been in the papers. So these are the brands you can look out for our local favorites. And in terms of international favorites, of course, you can meet Nadine Aisoy. You can get Havana Shah, award-winning pieces. not to mention Alexis Brothers. This is one of like the ultimate invisible setting. They are one of the best in the world, and you can get a peep of that at the Jewellery this year.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Angela, for your time and your insights today.
Thank you very much for having me on the air.
Thank you. That was Angela Loh, CEO of the Advocators and Co. This has been the Wealth Tracker with me, Hongbin Jeong.
Before acting on the information on Money FM, please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance.
Money FM 89.3